Welcome back to our special investigation. When Jessica Small and her best friend Vanessa Conlon were abducted in October 1997, they were just 15 years old. But they already had reputations as tearaways. Vanessa managed to escape from their attacker, but Jessica's never been seen since that terrible night. For years, local police swung between indifference and incompetence, coloured by the girls' wild reputations. But finally, one dogged detective has narrowed the hunt. Bathurst is a 3-hour drive west of Sydney. It's where Vanessa Conlon grew up. But this place will always be haunted by the disappearance of her best friend, Jessica Small. For 10 years, police showed little interest in the case. Then, Detective Sergeant Peter Smith from the New South Wales Homicide Squad knocked on her door.
He actually said the words to me, "I believe you." It was like the weight of the world had just been lifted, and I finally had this light that we might get somewhere.
It doesn't make sense that this girl would run screaming and obviously terrified to a person's house in the middle of the night, and then to have people not believe her, it just doesn't make sense. Given especially now 16, 17 years have passed and she's maintained the same story and it's corroborated over and over and over again, it's just so obvious that she's telling the truth.
Detective Smith inherited a mess, incomplete files and a lack of any real detective work. But one witness who'd been previously ignored by local police stood out to him. An employee at the amusement parlour where the girls had played pool that night. That employee had a strange conversation with a man who matched the description Vanessa gave of her attacker.
That a male, adult male, had been in the amusement centre asking about Jessica and actually pointed her out and said, she looks like she's up for a good time, who is that? And then during that conversation he made mention that he was an employee of the Oberon timber mill.
And it was at that point that you realised you had a pretty solid lead.
It was amazing. I just couldn't believe that no one had asked him about that before. It's just so important.
In 2011, Peter and his team began interviewing 400 men who had worked at the Oberon timber mill in October 1997. Their investigations took them all over Australia and to the UK. They eventually narrowed the list down to just 2 men, Andrew McBride and Craig Robertson. Both were named as persons of interest in this month's inquest into Jessica's suspected murder.
There's more information or evidence to suggest that Andrew McBride was involved.
And what is that information?
That McBride had access to a white VK Holden Commodore with holes in the passenger footwell. The car that the girls get into on the night, Vanessa sits in the front seat. And as it's driving along, Vanessa notices there's holes in the front passenger footwell and that it's what she later describes as a white Holden Commodore. That's pretty explicit. It matches, acutely Vanessa's description.
Andrew McBride, Alison Langdon from 60 Minutes. I was hoping to have a talk to you, please, about the disappearance of Jessica Small.
We are actually trying to have lunch, if you don't mind.
McBride worked at the Oberon timber mill for about 12 months, but the day Jessica vanished, he left town with no explanation. We now know that while he was here, he had a history of predatory behaviour towards teenage girls. In 97, the year of the kidnapping, he often gave alcohol and marijuana to 2 15-year-olds, whom he'd met through dating one of their mothers. He ended up having sex with one of those girls just after her 16th birthday. He was 37. Did you abduct Jessica and Vanessa that night?
I don't mind talking to you about it. I know nothing to this lady's disappearance. Absolutely nothing. No, nothing. I have no idea what happened to this young lady. The circumstances that surrounding it were only made known to me through the police investigation. But other than that, I know nothing.
Why do you think you are now a person of interest?
Excuse me, I'm not really sure. I'm just going through those motions now with my solicitor and through the court. I was in Sydney. My bank deposits and bank statements have put me elsewhere. Yeah, so that was not me.
Yeah. So you did not kill Jessica Small?
No.
No, I did not, ma'am.
McBride says he has an alibi, that bank records put him in Sydney the night Jessica disappeared.
That's not correct. Those bank records put him in Sydney on the 24th of October, which is a Friday. They don't put him anywhere on the Saturday or the Sunday.
So he could well have been in the Bathurst area that night?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's not enough to prove he was involved, and there's nothing to prove he wasn't involved.
Why did you leave town in such a hurry after Jessica disappeared? Your bank statement shows you were in Sydney on the Friday. Jessica disappeared on the Saturday.
To sit opposite him throughout the inquest and not know if it is him that took Jess, and then to hear all these horrible things that he has done before is so incredibly frustrating.
Did you recognise him?
To sit here now and say that 100% it's him, I can't do that. And that breaks my heart as well.
The horror of that October night has destroyed many lives in the small country town of Bathurst. Vanessa still blames herself for not turning back. While Rob Fitzpatrick has wrestled with the idea that he may have witnessed the last few minutes of Jessica's life. Do you think you could have saved her?
Yes. I think that makes it harder. Yeah, man, it could have stopped out the front of my house. If I'd known what I know today, it would have stopped that front of my house. I think that's one of the hardest things I got to live with. Why didn't I do more?
It haunts you, doesn't it?
Yep. I hate it.
For Jessica's mother, Ricky, there's still hope that one day she will get to say goodbye to her daughter and give her the dignity of a proper burial.
We haven't found her, 17 years, and we haven't found her.
Do you think you ever will?
I would like to hope I could. I think coming from a mother's heart, you always want to bring your child home, your baby home.
You deserve that.
I think I do. I think I do.
And the coroner has recommended that a reward of at least $500,000 be offered for information that leads to an arrest in this long-running case. It will be the biggest reward of its kind in New South Wales.